Let's bring in now former RNC Chairman Michael Whatley. He's also running for Senate in North Carolina, a seat that Republicans need to maintain. Chairman Whatley, thank you so much for being here. I want to ask your opinion on this redistricting battle. The president has pushed southern states to, fix their maps or declare special elections to make sure that their maps are re-gerrymandered, if you will, in their favor before the midterm elections. Where do you see this push going?
Well, look, it's certainly important that the Supreme Court has told the states they cannot discriminate when they are drawing congressional lines, and we're going to see the states move forward drawing lines that are not going to take the race factors into account. But by far in this election cycle, the most important thing that's going to determine who wins is the battle between crazy and common sense. And Republicans are fighting for a common sense agenda. I'm in North Carolina running right now for a common sense agenda that involves rebuilding our economy, keeping our kids and our communities safe, making sure that our troops get the supplies that they need to protect their interests and allies around the world. Roy Cooper, on the other hand, is running for crazy. He wants boys and girls sports. He is fighting harder for criminals and illegal aliens than he is his own constituents.
Chairman, in the latest polling, has Roy Cooper on you by a +9 margin, so 9 percentage points lead. And the main reason for that is affordability, is the fact that voters in North Carolina don't feel the president is doing well when in this issue, and high gas prices certainly contributes to that. However, how is that? Those national headlines seem to be having a drag in your campaign. So what are you doing to combat that and to take on the message of affordability?
Yeah, President Trump carried North Carolina 3 times in a row by fighting for affordability, by fighting for lower gas prices, lower housing prices, lower grocery prices. These are the issue sets that we campaigned on all across the country, including in North Carolina. That's where I'm going to be fighting for. Roy Cooper has fought for higher taxes. He raised electricity rates in North Carolina 20% since 2020. He also put health care policies in place that North Carolina has the highest health care costs in the entire country, 57% higher over his term. So we want to talk about affordability, and we also want to talk about the steps that the president is taking right now to bring costs in, and the Democrats are fighting him on every section of that fight.
It's also important to note Roy Cooper was the governor of the state, so he's got higher name ID than you do at this current moment. And he's painting himself and his campaign as moderates. And I'd just like our viewers out there to know that Abigail Spanberger ran a similar race in Virginia, painting herself out as a moderate. And the first thing that she did when she came into power was stop cooperation with ICE, introduce over 50 new taxes, gerrymandered the state on behalf of Democrats, not a moderate agenda whatsoever. Your state is also the state where law and order is important. And how are you incorporating that into your campaign? Irina Zarutska, of course, she was that young woman who was killed on the light rail train by an illegal alien, got national headlines. He's currently making his way through the court system. But surely this is an issue that concerns North Carolinians.
It is. Roy Cooper campaigns on being a moderate, campaigns on a bipartisan basis, yet he vetoed more bills than any other governor in North Carolina history. In fact, the 107 bills that he vetoed were more than every other governor in North Carolina combined. When it comes to crime, Roy Cooper is the most pro-crime, soft-on-crime governor in the history of North Carolina, in addition to setting up the revolving door that put criminals back on the streets again and again and again with pretrial release and cashless bail. He also released 3,500 criminals from North Carolina prisons because he said they didn't want them to get COVID. Obviously, the most famous person on that list is DeCarlos Brown Jr., who was rearrested and re-released 13 more times before he killed Irina Zarutska on that light rail car last summer. But there are also dozens and dozens and dozens of others who were on that list who had killed people. 51 of them were serving life sentences at the time that he released them out. And he needs to answer for that. How did these people get on the list? Why did he decide to release these prisoners the way that he did? And what is the fate of all of those folks that he let back out and all of the victims that he has created through that mass release?
That's absolutely unbelievable, and you will get a chance to ask him those questions, I'm sure, on the debate stage. But I just wanted to get your opinion on the Democratic Party thus far. It seems like all of the energy within the party is with the radical left. We see that in the state of Michigan. We see that up in Maine, where Graham Plantner is their nominee, and he's got a Nazi tattoo, yet the Democrats are railing around him. Is this the new direction of the Democrat Party? These crazy progressives, because even the moderates like Abigail Spanberger and or Roy Cooper seem to fall in line to that wing and be controlled by that wing once they're elected into power.
This is exactly the Democratic Party. And Roy Cooper, along with Zoran Mamdani and James Tallarico and others, are the face of that Democratic Party. You know, President Trump summed it up well. This is a battle between common sense and crazy. And I am fighting very hard for common sense policies that are going to build our economy, that are going to keep our kids and our communities safe, make sure that our men and women in uniform have what they need to carry out their missions around the world. Roy Cooper is going to fight every day for criminals. He's going to fight for illegal aliens. He's going to fight for men who want to play in women's sports. This race right now is so important when you think about what it means for the balance in the United States Senate. And the Democratic Party is really, truly moving away from the people of North Carolina.
All right. Chairman Michael Whatley, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Appreciate your time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.